So thank you again. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you all coming here to celebrate and all the wonderful work that our students have done. We're very, very proud of them. And as we get started, we're going to hear first from Dottie Shamblin, who's a Macaw elder. And Dottie Shamblin was a very special guest to our class this quarter in ethnobotany and shared her wisdom and her words, and she asked if she could come up here just to get us going. So she's going to talk for just a couple minutes. Dottie?
Thank you. I come to support my family member. Comes from a chief family from the whaling people of the Macaw tribe. His Indian name is Tuitawalikup. He's graduating with a BA degree. And that's very important to us. He is going to be a man of words. All them words that's in the English language as a lawyer, he's going to know how to use them. He has started something and he has finished this far. He still has to go and get his Juris Doctorate. That's why Paul Haight, his wife, helped drive me here. Paul Haight, he comes from whaling family also, from chief. And that's what we are. That's what Ronnie is, from the Macaw tribe. His name, Tuitawalikup, also has a song. And I only said I'd talk for 2 minutes, so I can't sing the song. But I have a gift for him. And it was from my brother. My brother left us behind the day after his dad left us behind. His dad was the same as my brother in the Indian way. So I want him to come and get this feather. The feather is a big, important thing for all Indian people. It's sacred, and it's still alive, and it still can heal you, take away bad feelings. You know, you just brush yourself off with it. And this was my brother's. He got it. Ronnie, this is Tuitawalikup, where are you? This is for you. One day, he's going to heal people. Our people suffer, and he's going to come along and heal them with his words. Words is powerful. And he's going to do great healing. You're going to need lots of feathers. I know you're... I love you. Okay. And his mother is here, and I know his dad is here. He took care of his dad. He takes care of his mother. He is a good example of our people. He helps everyone that I know. And I just wanted him to know we come as chiefs in one of the GSA vans. We had a hard time getting here. So I'm just happy to be here to give him my feather. Give him the life that is in that feather. To help him and push him on a little bit. And to lift him. That's what we all have to do. Ushuiakshi alsa, kliko, kliko. Thank you. I'll walk you down. Okay, you can come up, Ricky.
All right, thanks again for showing up. It's a great occasion for all of us to be together, to see some friends and family that we haven't seen for a long time and celebrate this tremendous occasion. A lot of hard work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for everybody, and I know on behalf of the graduates, we're just very truly blessed and truly thankful for all of your support and all of your help and all of your love. Before we get started, I would like to welcome our special guests. So if you're an elder, if you want to raise your hand or stand, we'd like to welcome you. Stand up, raise your hand. If you're here as an elected tribal official, please stand so that we can welcome you. If you're here as a tribal education coordinator, please stand so that we can welcome you. If you're here representing the administration or a member of the faculty of the Evergreen State College, please stand so that we can welcome you. And finally, if you are a prior graduate of the Reservation-based Community Determined program here at the Evergreen State College, please stand so we can welcome you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the Nisqually Canoe Journey Family Singing Group. If you please come forward.
So I just wanted to thank them before they go in their last song. But I don't know if you heard them saying, but they're graduates from our program. And so it's really nice to have Grace up here and also Cleo, Frank, and Grace Heisman. And also this smattering of res-based people. So seated over here is Sam Miller, if you want to raise your hand. And Sam graduated from the Grace Harbor AA program. You just can't even know. This guy was taking, 26 credits? The most I've ever heard or seen anyone do. He was the most committed person, and I think got straight A's, and we loved Sam being in our program. He has so much wisdom. And Kehlani and Andrea in my day camp, and when they were little kids, and it's so nice to see all of them growing up and then going to school. We've got 3 generations here, and it's great, and thank you so much. We have these gifts to give you, and thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, the Honorable Fawn Sharp, Chair of the Quinault Indian Nation. Will you please join me in welcoming Fawn Sharp?
Thank you. What an amazing, incredible day to celebrate. What an accomplishment for the class of 2014. Let's give them a round of applause. And I also want to recognize the parents, the grandparents, the aunties, the uncles, the cousins, the sons, the daughters, because we all know that when we reach this pinnacle of success, it's in no means on our own, but for the love, prayers, and support of our families. So let's also recognize the families that brought us here today. Aunties, uncles, grandparents, thank you. You know, it's exciting to see another generation of educated natives, educated tribal members from the Pacific Northwest. Where we are right now in terms of what we're trying to accomplish as Native people, and I want to speak from the perspective of a tribal leader with some advice. Right now, tribal leaders across the country are still embattled in a 400-year struggle over the power and control of tribal lands. We see it all across Indian country, whether it's the battle for sacred sites, the ability to just make decisions affecting our land and territory without influence by the U.S. government, states, or even counties and local jurisdictions. We see it all over the Northwest. We also are in the middle of a battle in trying to provide economies and break that cycle of poverty in our communities. And it's a battle that requires another generation of educated people. And I just want to suggest that those of you that are about to go out into providing that leadership to our people, you're going to come across a great deal of challenge. I want to share some words that I received from Wilma Mankiller early in my career. She said, Fawn, when you go out to make a difference in your community, to do positive things, it's almost invariable and going with the territory that you're going to have challenges, you're going to have naysayers, you're going to have struggles and, personal criticism and that sort of thing. But just consider that to be the background noise. Turn the volume down and don't let it stop you from pursuing those dreams and goals that you envisioned as a young person. And I'd like to take that advice from a well-respected tribal leader to convey to this class that as we continue to fight for future generations, we're going to continue to see the battles that our ancestors had. And on a personal level, you may reach that point where you're very close to success. Maybe it's an issue that when you're in your 50s, you've dedicated 20, 30 years for that mission, and you're on that cusp of success, but you'll see a firestorm of criticism or negativity where you want to just give up. Each one of us in life come across those moments, but I want you to remember those words of Wilma Mankiller, and also remember these words, that when you reach those points in life, you're on that pinnacle of success. Be like steel. When steel goes through fire, it gets stronger. It's not like paper that just withers away, because there are some things in life that want us to fail as natives. There's that thing that you can't really describe that would rather us just be part of the United States and just shriveled up and assimilate into the rest of the cultures. But we know the strength and value of our cultures. We just saw an amazing performance of song and dance that goes back centuries. That's who we're about. That's our strength. That's what unifies us. And that's what's going to carry us into future generations with a type of success that we know we can have individually and collectively, to some point restore those things that have been taken from us over the last 4 centuries. And I'm confident that with the success we've seen in classes like the 2014 class, you're going to find strength in adversity. You're going to find strength in those times. And I've discovered, after nearly 2 decades of service, that there's strength in pain, believe it or not. There's real strength in pain and struggle. You could either crumble under it, or you can embrace it like steel and fire and never let anything detract you from that mission that you have from our Creator, that calling of our ancestors, and those dreams of our children yet to be born. You are destined for greatness. You've accomplished much today, and you're going to continue to accomplish it. This is just the beginning. You're going to be leaders, working with kids, leaders in education, leaders in business. I could imagine a whole class coming out of here today that's going to make a big difference in this world for Native peoples. And you're going to be that example to future generations that will be coming behind you. And we owe all that to our ancestors, our families, our aunties, our uncles, our grandparents. So on behalf of the tribal leaders in the Northwest and those that I represent, I want to extend congratulations to you, to your families, and to the success that I know we will accomplish. Because your success is all of our success. There are only so many tribes on the face of this earth. And within each tribe, there are only so many tribal members. We represent maybe 1% of the population in the United States. But that small number means each and every one of you that has a success. It's a success for all of us, and we're here to celebrate that with you. So congratulations, class of 2014. Thank you for the honor to be here to say a few words and to provide some advice and to congratulate you. I'm truly honored to be here today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Fawn, very much for those beautiful words. Will you now please join me in welcoming our class graduation speaker who was selected by a vote of her peers. She goes by Britt Reed of the Choctaw Nation.
Halito, my name is Brittany Reed, or Britt Reed. As Ricky said, I'm from the Choctaw Nation. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for voting for me to be the speaker. It's, I don't know, deeply humbling. I'm very thankful to have been voted for it. A lot of you were here a little earlier, right before the meal when I sang the blessing. For those of you here, you heard it. Like I said, the song is called Chuntaluta. It's a Lakota song. As I said before, the beginning of the song, it goes, Chuntaluta oknama wanielo, tonkashila pila maya yeloe. And as I said, it means I'm walking the red road. Grandfather, I thank you. To me, that's been deeply meaningful. As I've kind of thought about what I wanted to say up here, kind of thought about that song and the words to it. And it's been interesting to me to hear my fellow graduates. We got up here yesterday, and Cindy had us talk a little bit about what our advice might be, or like kind of our journey to get here. And it's been interesting to hear over the past 2 years, as well as yesterday, what those journeys were. We've each struggled to get here. We've each had our own trials. For me, myself, my background, I'm actually an adoptee. I was transracially adopted out. And so I grew up away from my tribal community. I grew up away from really any kind of Native population. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. There is a Native population there, but because I was with a non-Native family, I never interacted with that population. And for me to be here today, thinking of my own personal journey, this is something that I could only imagine in my wildest dreams. Not only to be able to come back and be within a Native community after being adopted out, which is truly a blessing for any adoptee that's experienced that, but also to be able to graduate. One of the things I had inherited from my biological mother was dyslexia, and so for me, just being able to learn how to read was a real struggle. And I remember sitting at the table, growing up with my mom, just trying to read those like little books that were like, Sam chased the ball, and just crying my eyes out because it was so difficult to read and being embarrassed. My brother's friends and stuff would like walk in the background and stuff, and just like not knowing how to get from not being able to read and understand what those words are saying. And on top of that, I had struggled with math. And so to be able to graduate from college, nonetheless, was also in my wildest dreams. I thought maybe I would go to community college and that would just be it. When I think about the stories that my fellow graduates say, like I said, I'm deeply humbled. In comparison to a lot of them, I always joke, I'm the second youngest in this class. Alani is only younger than me. And so coming into this program, I've also been very lucky to live here in Olympia. I moved from Chicago to here to live in Olympia, and so I had much less of a struggle to journey to class, whether that be like the people that go to class in Tulalip. A lot of them live in Lummi and come down to Tulalip, or a lot of the other people travel hours to get here on Sunday morning or Saturday mornings to go to class, and I know how much of a struggle that can be, or at least I've heard the stories. So I've always been very appreciative and very moved by how far that they go to make sure that they get that education that they've been struggling to get for however many years that they've been struggling. So I just want to say thank you to all my fellow classmates, as well as other people who have yet to graduate, because you've been truly an inspiration for me. And I know that when I had my recent struggle, little bump in the hill earlier this year, thinking of what you've gone through really got me through that, being like, cancer, that's really not that much, and I only have to deal with this for a couple of months, when this is something that my fellow classmates, these struggles, they last every day of their life to get this education. I also wanted to take the time out to thank all the family members, all the fellow classmates, because I know everyone supported everyone else in this program. I want to thank the friends, the aunties, the uncles, the moms, the dads, everyone that have been here to support each and every one of us. And through your support, we've gotten support from our classmates. Working here at this college, I've come to realize, and with a lot of other students, that without the support, if we were here doing it by ourselves, there's no way, I would say 90% of us here in this room, or even on campus, like without anyone in the background, like to help us out, that we would graduate at all. So your efforts in saying, hey, did you get that homework done? Oh, maybe you shouldn't hang out tonight. Maybe you should, go get that done. Or whatever it might be, to like help push people, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't go to that thing Saturday. Maybe you should go to class. I don't know. It's little things, but it really helps us get through. So I just want to say thank you to all the family members, friends, and everyone that supported all of us. I want to say thank you to my classmates, and also thank you to Cindy, because I know for me personally, she's gone above and beyond, and I wouldn't be here without her. So thank you. I'm always forgetting. Thanks, Vicky.
Before we move on to the next portion of the ceremony, we're going to be looking at pictures of our graduates up on the media center here. We ask that the graduates and faculty gather in the back. We can watch this portion of it from there to move on to the procession.
Okay, so if we can have the graduates and the teachers move to the back to line up for the processional. And Britt didn't mention it, but she also made the movie that you're about to watch. Movie of all the graduates and the year in pictures. Thank you, Britt. Okay, so thank you very much, and thank you, Britt, for all your work doing that. That was great. Thank you. And if you'd like a copy of the iMovie, that's available for $5. And we're also videotaping today's ceremony, so if you'd like a copy of that, I think it'll be available online. So now let's get to our most important business of the day, the presentation of the graduates. So faculty, would you please start, and let's welcome the graduates. Let's please stand. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think they didn't turn the music on. So you'll be on first, okay? What's that? Yeah. Okay, so welcome graduates and faculty, thank you. So what we'll do next is introduce the faculty by each site. Okay. Okay, so we just are going to go alphabetical by site. So we'll have Myra Downing come up first. She's the faculty for our Muckleshoot site.
Go Muckleshoot.
Try to give it to the right side up because they keep getting the picture, taking my picture upside down.
Okay. Hello. First, I want to thank all of you for coming. You know, this is a great day for our graduates. As each of you know, they put a lot of time and energy into getting this degree, and they take it very seriously. I also want to congratulate each of you. You are wonderful, and while I know some of you better than others, I know that this is a very special day for you, and I feel honored to be part of it with you. I have two graduates from Muckleshoot. The first one up will be Ursula Garcia, right here. Here she is. I'd like to say a few words about Ursula. Ursula's one of the students that, in addition to school, she had a full life. She worked full-time, she had a family, and she was able to manage all that and do a really good job. We always liked having her in class. She had a good sense of humor, and she would ground us. And toward the end of this program, I mean, she was on a roll. I was amazed at what she produced during her last 2 quarters. So with that, I'd like to also recognize Ursula's family that's here with her husband and mom and dad and others back there. I know that, Ursula, you're going to do great things, and you're going to continue to do the fine work that you do. And I want to thank you for your tying what you do through school with your work and applying that and making it a better place for those that work with you too. Thank you. The next graduate from Muckleshoot is Tia Lozo. anyone who teaches values education. And to work with students who also value it as highly as Tia was truly an honor. Tia probably has another award. She probably has the largest group of folks here to recognize her graduation, like 2 tables over here. And she also has every student in our class here that came to be here with her that aren't even graduated, and some past students. When I met Tia 2 years ago, she came from a kind of a more standard education background where the teacher talks and the student does the assignment. And when she started, she said, "This is a little different." But Tia didn't give up there, and Tia adapted to that style, and she excelled. When Tia gets an assignment, she doesn't just do it. Anytime she has a question, she looks it up, she explores it, she researches it, she goes above and beyond. This last quarter, she could have coasted. You can see how much I thought of her and the work that she did. But just this last week, she did one of her best presentations and produced one of her best papers. She stayed strong to the very end. Jade, I want to thank you for supporting her in this effort, and I want to thank the family. And Tia, it's an honor. I recognize you today.
I want to thank my family for coming. I appreciate you guys coming. I love you all. You guys supported me in some very good times and some bad times. I love you. Thank you. And I didn't think I would be this emotional about graduating, and I am. I love you.
Okay, so next I'd like to invite up Mary Dupuy, and Mary Dupuy is teaching at our Nisqually site. Okay, you want to be sure and hand them these so they're right side up, because they take a picture of them and sometimes they have them upside down, and then let them talk, okay, if they want to.
Hello, my name is Mary Dupuy. I'm the faculty for the Nisqually site. I thought I was a spectator when I was told I was going to be here today, so I don't have anything prepared. I probably won't sound as nice as Myra, but this is my first year at the Nisqually site. The students were wonderful to work with. It was an exciting site to be at. I feel like we're unique, but maybe that's just because I haven't been to the other sites yet. But our site was truly a team and a community, and I felt like we were a learning community because my students really helped me through this first year as I felt I helped them through their last year. And I've had the pleasure of working with both Chris Peters and Britt this year. And it wasn't so much that they were in the last year of their bachelor's program, but they were really working hard to be in the first year of their master's program. And that added a level of excitement to the class for me to work with them. So Chris Peters, you're my first victim. Hi. I don't even know what to say to you. Chris was such a great student because he did so much for his fellow students, giving them rides to and from school and helping people finish their assignments and helping lead some of the readings and the seminars that we did in class. Chris was somebody that you should really hold the syllabus back from, because once he had the syllabus, he had all the assignments done within the first week, and he would just be parceling them out after that. He was just so eager to get that degree, and I think that Chris's wife was instrumental in getting the rest of the class fed and working, because she sent food with Chris all the time. Yeah, Chris would say, "I don't know what it is. She says that it's healthy." But it was always good. So thank you, Chris. It was a pleasure to work with you this year. Do you want to say anything? No. Come on.
I just want to say thank you to Mary. She's a wonderful faculty. It really helped me a lot in finishing this last year, but also preparing me for graduate school. Britt and I are both going on to the Tribal Masters in Public Administration next year, and Mary knew that all along and is really instrumental in not only teaching us what we were currently learning, but setting us up for future success as well. So thank you, Mary, very much. And I also want to thank Cindy as well. Cindy, I think I've said this before, this whole program, she's the backbone of it. She holds it all together, but she's more than just the backbone. She's also the heart and the soul of this program. Everything that happens in this program really goes through Mary. And I think thank you, Mary, again, but Cindy is the one who really the one who gets this whole thing together, and she really truly needs to be honored for what she's done to get this education to all these Native students. So thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Mary.
Chris. You're welcome. And Britt Reed. Britt's my other half of Chris. I feel like they are just so brilliant that they've kept me on my toes with the questions that they've asked and required me to keep myself up to date on current issues and understand a lot, prepare a lot for the questions that I knew that they're going to ask, because they ask a lot. And Britt really likes her email, and she would send me resources and I would send her resources, and there was just so much discussion. Britt was in Texas for her winter quarter, and she worked on independent contract with me, but we were talking, I feel, every week, and it was just so wonderful to hear the progress that you were making with the work that you were doing down there, and how she never, even if she wasn't here and present in Washington State, she never lost that focus, and she never gave up, even when she was going through a hard time. And you're just really good. You want to say anything?
Sure.
Okay.
Give my thanks. I just wanted to say thank you yet again to all my classmates. I want to say thank you in particular first to my boyfriend Aaron, and also to Chris Peters. I came here from Chicago, a place where there was a lot of public transportation, and my thought was, yeah, I'll just get out to Nisqually by public transportation. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. So I actually had the help of my boyfriend and Chris, and also another woman named Nettie, who was in the program in 2010 when I initially entered, who gave me rides every week without fail, except for when there was a Seahawks game in town. But we got through that one, so it was good. I also really wanted to thank both Mary and Cindy. Some of you might know, some of you might not, but Cindy was the professor at Nisqually site up until this year when she got hired to be the director of our program. And I've had some tough times. I definitely remember when I first came into the program, it was hard dealing with some things, and I remember sitting at the keyboard one snowy winter night in Nisqually's library, bawling my eyes out in that gross cry that you get that's not even cute. And Cindy patted me on the back and be like, okay, it's all right, but seriously, get your work done. And so, yeah, that I wanted to thank Mary too, because Mary's been really awesome in being our professor this year, and I've really enjoyed having her. And it's really thanks to these two women and also the other professors, in encouraging us to go on and get our masters. It was nothing I ever thought about doing for myself. That was never an option that even entered into my mind until I had it normalized through just their discussion of their journey through the master's program, and also just continuously encouraging all of us to go on to the TMPA. So I want to thank them also and inspiring me and making me realize that I can go on and do a master's. So. And possibly a doctorate, who knows?
Chris and his wife supplied the healthy food, and all year, Britt supplied the strange food. She wanted us to experience new things, and so she would bring in seaweed and other things. It is traditional, but other things, I'm not sure what they were, but they always turned out good. So thank you, Britt.
So wonderful. I was dazzling in how wonderful they are and forgot it was my time to get up and talk. So, so next I'd like to invite Tracy Hasselkuss up here from our Peninsula College site. Tracy.
Whoa, okay. Good afternoon. I'm pleased to be here today to celebrate with the graduates. I'm honored to be here for Ricky Johnson and Ron Johnson as they complete this stage in their lives. It's kind of interesting. The last time I did this was in 2007, and I only had females. This time I have 2 males, so it's kind of fun. Both of these men had life events that would have knocked them off their tracks, but instead of giving up, they became stronger and even more resilient. They're both tenacious in their work. They are driven, and I'll be watching and cheering from the pages of Facebook as they move into the next phase of their lives, now that we know how to do Facebook. Okay, Ricky, come on up. So, Ricky's an amazing problem solver. I thought I was pretty technologically adept, but I wasn't, and he saved us many times. I couldn't control the media with three remotes, but he could do it. He's a natural teacher who can explain Evergreen's library resources to the other students and interpret confusing assignments while making sure his family comes first. Thank you, family, for Ricky. I hope he continues to encourage the Native students to be better than just status quo. He's a very intelligent young man who can influence another generation or 2 to not be satisfied with the way things have been. Ricky has been accepted into grad school, and I look forward to being able to say, I knew Ricky when. Would you like to talk? You want to talk?
Woo! Made it, man. We made it. All right. Oh, this is awesome. What a great feeling. What a great day. I'm looking forward to the summer. I'm looking forward to when my daughter comes in my room, Daddy, Daddy, and I've got my headphones on and I'm doing work, you know. I'm looking forward to being able to spend time with her and my family and just enjoy it, man. Just enjoy it. Look forward to the new chapter. I got my brother over there, Ron Johnson. He's my brother in my classroom. His real brother's sitting over here with him. But he was my brother in my classroom, man. We go to head sometimes, and we always brought the best out of each other, and it was fun. It was a great experience, and I'm very glad to have spent it with all these people here. So thank you.
Okay, my second student, Ron Johnson. So I must say that I really wish I had some of Ron's energy. He's a voracious reader and investigator. He's not satisfied to accept what is written. He needs to explore and go deeper to find the truth. And often when he goes deeper, he finds other facts. Oops. Thank you. Other facts that he shares with us. One evening after class, he apologized to me for his exuberance. I told him I appreciated his passion and that he made me think, and that is good for teachers. I only wish I could keep up with him and all the information he has to share. Ron is passionate about his learning, figuring out the world, and using his knowledge and learning that learning to make the world a better place. I wish him the best luck in his future endeavors. Ron Johnson.
Well, I forgot my feather. No, you did know. This has been a great experience. It's been awesome. Privilege. We went through a section of our studies that had to deal with privilege. I'm privileged here to stand before you today. It's been awesome. My mom, my father, my brother, all the friends, all the family. The world shrunk again today. I put some pieces together. Jerry, I mean, Ed, you guys are awesome. I didn't know we were all connected like that, but that's what Ricky talked about. That thank you. It was an awesome site, Peninsula site. We had representation from all 4 of the tribes of the county. The college came forward and gave us an opportunity to gather. I mean, the diversity there was just awesome, and have us come together. And yeah, Ricky, we went at it. Susie, we went at it. But we came to that common ground, you know, as in the educators, the people that took the time out of their day to bring the knowledge to us. I appreciate that from all of you. My father's retired teacher, my brother's a teacher, but he stepped into the administration. It was a big challenge for him to step out of the classroom. You guys are still engaged. You're feeding our minds. It's awesome. I've got something out of all you guys, you know. It's been a great experience, and I just thank you all, and you too, putting up with me. And Tanya, she's been there for me. She's helped me get my thoughts in order, straighten them out. And I'd like to give you a small token of my appreciation. Amy, I'd like you to accept one of these necklaces from me on behalf of the Peninsula College. And there's another lady that, you know how much I study. I come in, I'm fully loaded, I'm engaged, I'm reading, I'm getting it all. And there's a woman here constantly around the back. She's constantly doing stuff. She's always got a smile on her face and encouraging words to me. And when she gives me no excuses. If she's getting it done, how do I get it done? You know, she puts together a family. She works. She's going to school full time in the master's program. I hope to be in there with her soon. But I'd like Toby Sawyer. I don't know. I appreciate her. She's constantly doing something. If I could take her away from the work that she's doing in the back right now, I'd greatly appreciate it. So, last thing. I'm giving away olive shell necklaces. These are indigenous only to Nia Bay, Washington, the Makah tribe, and this is something that's important to me. It's something that's only there and only available there in the world, you know, so this is something that keeps me connected with all of you guys, keeps us all one, and keeps the world small. I appreciate it, so thank you.
A slight intermission. If you noticed, one person I forgot to speak to you, and so I want to make sure that Ursula has a moment.
I want to thank everyone for being here to support us, the graduating students. I appreciate my faculty, Myra Downing, and my husband, my mom and my dad, my auntie, my family members that are here. Appreciate everyone being here. Myra wanted me to get up and talk. She wouldn't give up. So I got up here to talk. Thank you very much.
Okay, and so next we have Colleen Almuela, who's going to be introducing the graduates at the Port Gamble Slalom site. So, Colleen. Just try to make sure that you hand it to them right side up because they take their picture and sometimes in the picture it's upside down.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Good afternoon. I'm the granddaughter of Margaret Lacacho, Edward Nahaney, the daughter of Thomas Almuela and Dorothy Nahaney Almuela, mother to Tony, mother to Justin, and grandmother to Dylan. I'm a First Nations woman, a member of the Squamish Nation, and it's such an honor to be a part of this program. As an elder, sometimes, people look at me and they say, "Aren't you retired yet?" And I have too much to do yet. So it's just such an honor to be the faculty from the Port Gamble Slalom Tribe site. It's great to see the two ladies who are handing out the blankets are from Port Gamble site, Naomi and Abby. They graduated from the program. And I also have to acknowledge the fact that before they had the Elwha site, that Ricky was in our site for a short while. And it was a huge benefit to our site. But at the Port Gamble Slalom site, it was an exciting 2 years because we had, from what I gathered from something Britt said, we had the youngest graduate. In addition, and I won't say the oldest, but one of the elders who was just phenomenal. It was phenomenal to have her as part of my class. And so in true Native tradition, I want to bring forth a person, Joyce Wilson, who is an elder in the program. And she was as much a teacher as she was a student. Her experience in Indian country is phenomenal, and she brought that to our classroom. We also learned so much about her traditions, and her work was, I had never seen such wonderful work. And she did research where she would actually go out, and she even was doing research on beach asparagus, and she paid for the, what was it? The analysis. Yeah, on the beach asparagus. So it was tremendous, and I think it's tremendous for the tribes. We have 2 tribes at Port Gamble, so it's exciting to have her because I know I benefited from all of her knowledge that she contributed to our class. And she graduated in the fall, so we missed her for 2 quarters, and I know I missed her because it meant I had to teach. But Joyce Wilson is just a phenomenal student and such a pleasure to know.
Oh, Doikshim, thank you to the people who prepared the food today, for this great faculty, for my family, for my husband, for my grandchildren. "50 years ago, I graduated from high school, 50 years ago. And 50 years today, graduating from college, and it's been a dream to do this." I got my inspiration from my beautiful granddaughters and my grandson, and we have six grandchildren and one great-granddaughter. And I thought, you know, I better get it together because I want them to know that no matter what age you are, you can get a degree. No matter what barriers, what obstacles, anybody can go to school. And I want them to live their dreams. I want you to live your dreams. I want you to go on to higher education, whatever that is. I want you to have a great passion. I want you to have a better life than I ever had. And that's why I did this. I did it because I wanted to set an example. And you can tell I've got ice on the mountaintops here, you know? So, I love going to school, guys. Oh, I put this lady and some other faculty through the test because I had set high standards. I said, I want you to give me feedback. I want you to read my papers. I want you to make me a better writer. Help me be a better writer. Help me be a better speaker. Just help me. And then I had the greatest study group over here, Naomi and Abby, and there were other people, Marva, and we used to meet at cafes or the casino, or we'd talk on the phone, and we would talk about what we were learning in class. And that really helped me, and I just say Doyeksen to you. And to the people who, you know, you wonder why didn't I do this before? Well, I didn't go to college because I had to work, I had a family, I traveled, and it was really hard for me to go to college. I couldn't do it. And so my hat's off to you guys who have families and who are going to college. It's a real big challenge, and you guys are doing it, and my hands are up to you. I hold my hands up. Thank you. So when I didn't have anyone to study with, I would call my friend in San Francisco, and I would tell her about the books that I was reading. And she was such a good listener that she could engage with me in what we were discussing. And it helped me because it reinforced what I was learning, what I was reading. But when I didn't have her, my Shilagwea, my husband, Lee Wilson, Amagoatskik, your yaya, your grandfather. Every single book that I read, I would discuss with Lee, and he would listen, and then he would give me his perspective, and it was fantastic because it was another point of view, but it helped me. It really helped reinforce what I was learning, and I really wanted to be a good student. I wanted to do good research and analysis. So you need to find people who are going to help you and reach out and ask them to help you. Ask them for feedback. It'll make you better, a better person. So, honestly, you guys, my dream for you is that you are so passionate and that you ask questions, be curious, and go on and have a better life. And you know I got a good life. I want you to have even a better one. Sheepanuit Nuin.
Hi, Chika. Now I think you see and you understand how wonderful it would be to have Joyce in your class. The next person I'd like to introduce is, and bring forward is Grace Jones. Now, we talk about Grace Jones is another phenomenal student. She took more than a full load. She was determined, and she always got her work in on time, and it was always exemplary work. She has a I would say, a very stressful job with the with the Suquamish tribe. In addition, she's involved in the North Kitsap County drug coalition. Excuse me. Yeah, it's all very exciting, but all of it is full-time efforts. But the effort that she put into her work was phenomenal. Her writing is exemplary, and it was always so interesting to read. And she was very open to feedback, and she always grew from the feedback that I was able to give her. But, you know, when you're, like Joyce said, when you're dealing with a student that has high expectations of you, Grace is another one of those students that I had. So I had to make sure that I kept up with her too. So with that, I want to introduce Joyce Jones to you.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I wanted to thank my family that's here, my mom, my son, my husband, and my son's girlfriend. I just really appreciate all of their support through this program because it's really challenging, not only the coursework, but working full time, as a lot of us do. So I just want to say thank you to them. And I want to thank my site peeps that are here, the ladies that I'm graduating with, and the ones that aren't here, and Colleen. I couldn't have made it through this without the support from all of them. So thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it. And thank you to the faculty that I worked with also on contracts. Thank you very much. It was Myra and, where is, yeah, no, not Dorothy. Yeah, it was Myra. Myra, thank you very much. Thank you.
I know I wish I was more prepared. I didn't have a written speech on each one of these, and I just feel like I'm repeating myself about them, but they were all at the Port Gamble School site were all high-performing students. And the next student is Destiny Wellman. And Destiny is a member of the Sklallam tribe, and one of the things I really appreciated about Destiny is we are a site-based program. She always brought us back to the local community because she's so active in her community. You know, she's really a role model in the community. But I think the one thing to talk about her commitment to education, this lady had a baby on Sunday and she was in class on Thursday. So she brought the baby to class. So, you know, that's pretty phenomenal when you think of the commitment she has to education, you know, and she did it in a shorter period of time than it usually takes. So I think I appreciated her knowledge, her traditional knowledge, and her worldview because it definitely contributed to our conversation while we were studying a variety of areas during our class time. So, Destiny. Want to say anything? I knew she wouldn't, but as much as I'd love her to, she's very quiet, very humble. I think baby's here somewhere too. Her family's back there. There she is. One of my future site students. So the last one, but not the least, is the youngest graduate of 2014, and that's Alani Aiken-Smith. And Alani, not only is Alani the youngest, but she's also, I was really happy to have her in class because she brought a different perspective to our class, the youth perspective. And I'm not saying she's a youth, she's a young woman, but the younger perspective, because she had questions. When you've been around as long as I've been around, there's sometimes you make assumptions that people know. And she often asked questions that really grounded me in terms of what we still needed to cover because of people who didn't have the experiences that I've had in the field of social justice. And she's not afraid to ask. And she made it through the 2 years, with a lot of enthusiasm. She had her ups and downs, but she stuck with it, and I'm very proud of her, Alani.
Thanks so much, Colleen. She was awesome. I can't imagine having another teacher. She was smart, kind, intelligent, patient, all of the above. Thanks to all my family and friends and loved ones, especially my grandma who raised me and helped me to this journey right here, right now. My fellow graduates and my site and my bestie Grace and Destiny and Joyce and everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next we have Dorothy Flaherty up for the Quinault site.
Good afternoon. This is my 6th year with the reservation-based program. This year we have 2 graduates from the Quinault site, and we're probably the smallest site this year, but we're very sincere and we worked hard. And I am exceedingly proud of my 2 graduates. I would like to introduce first Kim Burdick. Kim? While Kim is making her way up here, I have to say I've known Kim for a long time, first as a work colleague and then as a student. I've seen Kim go from one very responsible position to another. Kim came into our program with some knowledge of Native ways, and she kept working harder and harder to learn and learn and learn. She works for the Chehalis tribe now in their foster parent program. And Kim works full-time. She has a family who's been very patient. I also work with her mom, so I kind of know the family. Kim's daughter, Aubrey, has come to just about every Saturday class, some of the site classes, and I've got my eye on her for about 15 years from now. Kim never gave up. She had some challenges, but she worked hard, and she absolutely pushed herself every class period. She would drive all the way up from Chehalis to Quinault, and I'm just proud of where she's been. She came into us a very shy, quiet woman, and she has evolved into an amazing presenter and speaker, and congratulations, Kim Burdick.
I just wanted to say thank you to my instructor, Dorothy, and to Cindy, and to my fellow graduates and my site, Michael McCoy. And thank you to my family. Oh, Lord, I didn't want to talk. Bailey, Aubrey, and Bo, if you could stand up for a moment. What I do for you. And I want to say congratulations to my oldest daughter, Bailey, who is a graduate this year as well from high school. I'm very proud of you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kim. It is with pleasure, pride, and honor that I introduce Michael McCoy as our next graduate. I've also known Michael for quite a long time, and I had forgotten this until I was looking at old pictures last week. I taught a writing class for the Quinault Nation about 5 years ago, and I had forgotten that Michael took that summer class. So that's how I got to know Michael, and I wanted to prepare something nice for him, and I have to say that Michael, in one way, was the most challenging student I've ever had. Okay, in a lot of ways, Michael was the most challenging student I've ever had. Stop it, guys. But we got along just fine, me and Michael. Where Michael was my challenging student is his intellect, his abilities in research, in writing, in seeking out knowledge, seeking out information. When I teach research, I tell my students, research is nothing more than wanting to know something and going to find it. When Michael researches, he leaves no stone unturned, to a point where he will over-research something and say, now what do I do? Because he wants to do it all. What do you mean this is only a 7-page paper? I've already got 25 pages done and I'm only halfway through. So Michael has allowed me to grow, to learn. I've had to work harder than he has just to stay up with him. I have a lot of respect for Michael. He's had a lot of challenges, computer challenges. I've seen remnants of computers that have died a slow death. Here, no, it wasn't a slow death. It was a blunt force trauma to this computer. I have seen Michael roll in cars that should not be on the road. No matter what, Debbie Martin told me a story of when Michael was going to Grays Harbor College. He was so determined to make his classes that he'd hitchhike out there just to make sure that he got to class. Michael is committed to learning, and I think that Michael's future will include giving a lot of that knowledge back. He's a very proud member of the Quinault Nation, and I'm honored to be his friend.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Dorothy.
And you will say a few words.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you always have more than a few words to say. I'll cut them off after about 20 minutes.
No, I don't have a lot to say. I would like to thank the faculty who did work hard for all of us, and me particularly, last 2 to 5 years. And I want to thank my family, my mom, who I don't always agree with. She's always been inspiring to me because she is very cares about a lot for what she does. She's an organizer in the labor union. And I want to thank my classmates, it's been a pleasure. And I'm expecting to keep in touch with all of you. And I also want to thank the tribe, and I really look forward to finding my way to be as the best asset I can be to them and try to maybe fix the world a little bit, if that's possible, silly as that sounds. But I also want to thank Debbie Martin, too, who's been very supportive of my educational journey. It really means a lot to me. Thanks, Debbie. It's about all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, and then we have Renee Swan-Waite with the Tulalip graduates. So Renee.
Good afternoon. I have 3 graduates from the Tulalip site, and what's been so interesting and so fun to have them is that they are from different tribes, and from all different parts of Turtle Island. One student, Leah, she's an Aleut from Alaska. Her ancestors from Alaska. Steve is Lakota, and Mary is from Tohono O'odham. So there was a lot of learning taking place, not only from what we were looking at and reading, but also just as we were sharing. So it was fun to be a co-learner with them. So I'd like to introduce Leah. This is Leah Henderson. She's Alaskan Native. And what I learned from her was a lot about Bristol Bay and saving the salmon up there, the effects of the Valdez oil spill, as well as the civil rights movement from Elizabeth Peratrovich. Sorry. Leah is open to, I don't know what. Leah revised every paper because I asked her to, and she just became this really great writer. She's been accepted into the Western Washington University Master's Program in Rehabilitation Counseling. I'm very proud of her, and she's been just so much fun to have in class.
I just want to thank my family for all their support. I wouldn't have been able to do without them. And it's kind of a bittersweet feeling. I'm really going to miss coming to class and visiting all my classmates and stuff. But I'm excited for this new chapter in my life. And thanks.
The next graduate is Mary Andrews. Mary is Tohono O'odham. What I loved about Mary is her love of learning. She's tenacious, committed. She has a big heart. She absolutely loves Grandpa Alex.
Yes.
And she's an urban Indian, and I learned so much about urban Indians from her. And Mary is always ready to right a wrong. And that's important in our world today.
Try to make it short and sweet. Anya Autumn, the Amajit in Arizona. Autumn, Tohono O'odham means desert people. People always ask me, where am I from? And I always say, my mother.
Then I say Mother Earth, and then I tell them where I live, and then I get my Indian blood from my mom's side. So, my mom's here. She's a full-blood Tono Atam, Clara Felix. She's also a boarding school lady. Woo! St. John's Boarding School. She marched in the World's Fair in 1962, and they had a marching band, and they actually wore hairdresses. We'll talk about that later, Mom. And my grandpa Alex Jackson, he's the Uncommon Salmon for the Uncommon Controversy. That is his design. It's on the Uncommon Controversy book, and it's on 3 other books, and the Nisquallies probably know that design, the Puyallups know that design. Very iconic in the fishing wars. And that set great milestones, not only for the Northwest Coast, but the Lamprey people in Minnesota, and set a whole pendulum of activism and taking a stand. So also have another lady in the room. Her name's Emily. She's from, she was born at the Sealo Falls before they were taken away. She's got 2 birth dates, so give her double presents. Want to thank Renee, my classmates, like Michael, who always needing a ride, There's not always that inter-urban transportation program, whoever's going to get that going. And just want to thank each and every one of you for being here, for the food, for the teachings. I'm AmeriCorps, so I'll be back next quarter. And I just want to thank you, all of you. Peace, prayers, and love.
You get one.
This is from Roger Fernandez.
My third student is Steve Ironwing. Steve has been in a constant battle back here to sell the most raffle tickets. I don't know if he won or not.
He beat me by about $60.
I think my favorite line from Steve in class was last year when I gave him a cedar tree sapling, and we had just finished a sustainability course, and he's like, "You're turning me into a damn hippie." Huh. Part of what we do in this program is we look at the big picture, and then we look at the smaller, more personal picture. And sometimes it's easy to look at the big picture, and sometimes it gets really tough to look at the very personal micro picture. And that's what happened, I think, for us in our class this year. And anyway, I have another favorite line from Steve, and it was that there is redemption.
Takiwe Awasan. I don't know. My Lakota name is Supao Maza. My father lost his culture when he was assimilated in the boarding school. And so learning about intergenerational trauma for me has been quite painful. But the Haida elder gave me this feather the other day. He let me pick it, and I think it picked me. And it's the pointer feather, and he said it gives you direction, and it lifts you up above the storm. Wow, wow, wow. So Takiwe Awasan means we're all related, and if I've learned anything through our curriculum over the past 2 years is, because we studied cultures all over the world, is to realize how we are connected. The importance of having intertribal relations, the importance of, like in our class, last year we had the Lummies there too, so having many different cultures I did complain quite a bit because there wasn't enough Lakota in the curriculum. And I'm like, how am I supposed to learn about my culture? But there's a reason for that. I came into my bachelor's program as a drug and alcohol counselor, and it's a huge problem in Indian country today. Huge problem. It takes our culture away from us. It destroys culture. And so just recently, it's been a goal of mine other than this 4-year program is to work with natives, and I got hired on at Tulalip in their behavioral health. And I've met 3 elders, a Haida and another Lakota that knew my father, and also a Tulalip elder that are going to teach me the way and help me walk down the red road better. And for that, I'm blessed. I'm blessed by the Creator today to be able to go into Indian country and to help guide those that are misguided right now. And this has been a lot of healing for me. This is good for me today, so thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So with each one of our graduates that comes up, there's stories and more stories. Many years our students here, especially if they go through the AA program too, and we're all just so proud of each one of you. And last year we started working hard. We've been working hard with the Peninsula College now for about 3 years, and we're very pleased to say that we have our first graduate with her AA this year. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about Susan Hamilton and then invite up a couple people. But Susan Hamilton entered our program, and almost immediately we had a person who was just like it's been mentioned before, are they the student or the teacher? And those of you who might have won the beaded bracelets back there, she started making things to raise money for the students' blankets. And she's just been a great contributor to our program, been a study leader. We've really appreciated Susan. And so I'd like to call Amy Magisos up from Peninsula College and Jessica Humphreys in a moment to talk a little bit about Susan.
Good afternoon. My name is Amy Magasos, and I am Interim Dean of Student Success at Peninsula College. I am so grateful to be here. I'm honored to be with the graduates, especially Ricky and Ron, and all of you. And I find it a great honor to be with all family members and supporters and Evergreen. We are completing our 2nd year at Peninsula College of the AA Bridge program. We're very proud of that. And we'd like to give thanks to Barbara Lee Smith, to, of course, Cindy, and also to Michelle Aguilar-Wells for beginning this program with us. We'd also like to thank Grays Harbor for being a wonderful guide for us as we've developed our program. When I talk about the AA program at Peninsula, I can't help but talk about Susan Hamilton. She has been our trailblazer, truly. When I first met Susan Hamilton, it was at a special Peninsula College Longhouse farewell, and I was really struck by how deeply moved she was to learn, to serve, and to explore her own Haida family roots. She left behind the prospect of preparing to become a nurse, and she boldly developed a new vision for her future working with Native communities. She found a perfect match for her career pathway in the reservation-based community-determined programs. She was the first to enroll. She was the first to complete all of the Saturday classes that were offered in 5 quarters. She served as a study group mentor, as Cindy said, and she's the first to graduate. We are thrilled that we also have other PC students who are continuing in her footsteps in the AA Bridge program. You'll hear from Jessica Humphreys in just a little bit about her experience with that. And I really believe that Susan is an example of what happens when a person truly finds her purpose and aligns everything in her life, her studies, her leadership, her future career, her art, truly her whole life with that purpose. Susan dives deeply into her learning. She seeks the complex meanings, and she shares her learning with other people. She's always looking for a way to put things into action for change. I've seen many times when she's come and she's shared with me her learning from the Saturday Battleground seminars. She has brought her learning from this program into her leadership work as a founder and now the current president of the diversity-focused Shades of Color Club at Peninsula College. And she will no doubt use her learning and her future work in the bachelor's program as a way to create change in the world and in Native communities. So congratulations to you, Susan, for finding your passion and bravely developing your path to be a change maker in Native communities. Congratulations to our current AA Bridge students who will continue and be graduating mid-year and joining the bachelor's program, Jessica Humphreys and also Melissa Williams and some others. And congratulations to all the graduates. The world desperately needs your passion, your preparation, and all of the change that you will create in our communities. So thank you. I'd like to invite Jessica Humphreys, who'd also like to share a few words about her experience in the AA Bridge program and about Susan, her classmate.
My name is Jessica Humphreys, and I'm a member of the Jamestown S'Klallam tribe. Like Amy said, Susan has been a really amazing person, and she's helped me a lot with my studies, with joining the program, with my confidence in leaving my family and driving from Port Angeles to Olympia on the weekends. And she's really been amazing and just, there whenever we need her. Being here today was important to me because, I'm just beginning my journey, and all these folks are ending their journey in their bachelor's program and becoming, who they want to be in life, and it gives me strength. And it helps me push forward when I need the strength to continue on with my education. So thank you, Amy, Cindy, and everybody, Tanya, Susan, everybody who's really supported the AA Bridge program. And I hope, more students will join and we can keep this going. Thank you.
Okay, so you scoot over right here.
Okay.
I want you to come over here. So I just want to share something because I think it's really fitting that we have both of these ladies up here at the same time, because Jessica just did her makeup special occasion speech for those of you who don't know. And she's really quite special too because she just came into our program, heard about the Pendleton blankets, and went right after it to see the best deal that we could get, and she scored. So not even in the upper division program, and she's working hard to help our program out. All the students, yes, she got the blankets. And Susan, she's just been so special. She's just one of a kind. She's a beater extraordinaire. Her work has been on display up at the Longhouse at Peninsula. She's donated so much and given so much to all of us. And She even made an album cover for Buffy St. Marie. Now that's just really awesome. She's truly an awesome lady, and we have a gift for you so that you can study harder. You don't need to organize yourself. You're already organized, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can say something if you'd like.
Oh, my goodness. I'm a little afraid to talk because I'm very emotional. Feels a little much, but anyway, I want to thank Amy Magasos for introducing me to the program. It's changed my life, and Jessica for being such a good friend, and also Andrea and Terry, my Salmon sisters. I love you dearly, and I want to thank my parents. Both of them have crossed over, but when we were driving down here, we got off the freeway, and I looked up and I saw an eagle soaring, so I know they're here with me today. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And that's all of our graduates. And so let's give them all a hand. And we're almost done, but I'd like to have Steve Yanish come up and announce the winner of the Pendleton blanket and let us know what our collective proceeds were. So Steve has been working hard all year long to raise the funds. There's just so many of the gifts that are back there he got all on his own. He's just been an amazing fellow, just worked tremendously and went around and talked to each of the students. Please give us some more stuff. It's been really great.
Once again, congratulations to our graduates. And thus far, through our auction, we've raised $1,173. And the winner of the Pendleton blanket is Barbara Smith. And I want to congratulate Tia Lozo, 2 trips. Congratulations, guys.
Okay, and thank you all for donating to that and helping to support our graduates. We appreciate it very much. And thank you, Steve, and thank you for all the helpers back there. You all pitched in this morning. It was a lot of work to do very quickly. Thank you. And before we conclude, I wanted to just honor some folks that might have gotten overlooked. Our cooks, I think they might have left. Toby, do you know if they left? The cooks? They did a great job. That was Aramark that did our cooking today. I want to thank them for all the great food. And then Naomi and Abby, if you could come up. Naomi and Abby graduated, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, and they've just been coming back and offered to help out, and we always need someone to blanket them, and Joyce said, they are blanketing me, and we said, oh, that sounds good, and we appreciate all of their helpfulness and also their smiles, and especially their good words that are always needed, sometimes really badly, so thank you very much, Naomi. And next, I'd like to ask Toby Sawyer to come up. Toby started helping out at the Longhouse when she was a student, and she's just continued on. And there's a tremendous amount of work that goes on, and we try to track each other to make sure that we're not forgetting something. And sometimes we are both forgetful, and we just kind of pick up where the other one lets off. Did you remember this? Did you think of that? Well, what about this? And I just want to thank Toby for all of her work. Thank you, Toby. Thank you. sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I walked into the Lab 1 building the other day, and the most fragrant odor was there. It was just so wonderful, and it was just coming from a single bud. And as I was looking today at our garden of graduates, when I had all the blankets at home, and I was looking at each one and each one that the students got and how they would look at it, and you don't realize that some of their personal experiences are stitched into those blankets. And Kim Burdick picking one that's red, white, and blue, and she's a veteran. That wasn't even announced. But each one of you had a specific reason for selecting the blanket. And in the same way, the faculty here are like their own flower, teaching in their own way. They have these special gifts, and I'd like to honor them with the most fragrant flower that I could find in this moment in time. And our last bouquet was for Michelle Aguilar-Wells, and she was our former director for many years, but I think she's out correcting papers for the final quarter, but we'll give that to her. But I'd like to thank her too. And so now we'd like to conclude our graduation ceremony, first with a closing song, Britt. And then we'll have the recession of the graduates and faculty, and okay, and so thank you on behalf of the graduates and the faculty team, and thank you for attending today and for honoring our graduates with us. And we'll collect in the back so we can take pictures and honor them. Thank you. Go ahead and sing.
So I'll be singing the Chontaluta song again. It's kind of how it goes in the Reservation program. I guess it's kind of a reflection up to the end. But before that, I wanted to pray for all the people that will be traveling. So, Ho Matakuyasi, thank you, Tonkashla, for this day. Thank you for allowing everyone here to travel here safely, Tonkashla, and get food for their stomachs. That's making me strong. Tonkashla, I thank you for every one of the graduates and their families who supported them. Tonkashla, I pray that you'll keep everyone safe as they journey on home or wherever they might be going after here. Ho Matakuyasi.